The best one. And today we got to talk about Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam, because he reportedly is upset that fans aren't 100% locked in on this team right now. And let's be real, a big part of that is because of Shedeur Sanders. He isn't playing. Now, local journalists are even out here claiming that ticket sales are down, that seats are looking empty right now. I don't know if that's 100% true.
I also can't blame anybody who says, I don't necessarily trust this coaching staff to develop a quarterback or to evaluate the quarterback position. They've made some really oddball decisions at this position over the last several years. And I don't blame anybody for questioning, do these guys actually know what they're doing?
I don't think that's unfair at all. The thing I would say is that they're desperate. They're very desperate. Like the entire organization is desperate. And if you really think they're going back to the coaches' offices and all getting around the table after sessions and being like, guys, Shedeur is unbelievable, but
let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance with the play calling. You know you have an offensive line that isn't playing that well. So what do? Why not just play the short game so he can get the ball out of his hands very fast to run a competent goddamn offense? Outside of that, Shedeur has to be better in understanding that the offensive line that you're working with right now is not adequate. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job, in this instance, Shedeur Sanders, to finish off the 2-minute drill? Who makes that call? He makes that call. Why? Because I want the last thing people to see is the mistakes and the sacks that happen.
Haslam just pulled off one of the slickest NFL hustles we've seen in a long time, leaving fans angrier than when the concession stand runs out of beer before halftime. And what's the reason behind this madness? Oh, nothing major. Just flat out refusing to play Shedeur Sanders, like keeping him on the sidelines is some top secret master plan. Instead of selling hope, tickets, and hype, they're cashing in on heartbreak, and the fan base feels straight up played. Cleveland Browns fans are melting down faster than ice cream on a scorching summer block party, and this chaos doesn't even feel like football anymore. It feels like a full-on reality TV mess.
This collusion to the max, bro. This is collusion to the max. You can't hide it no more. I am done with the Cleveland Browns. Completely. I am completely, utterly, and literally done with the Cleveland Browns. How has Shedeur not taken a scout team rep? Better yet, how has Shedeur not taken a rep? I ain't talking about individual drills. I'm talking about team reps going against the defense 11 on 11 like he did in training camp. If Shedeur hasn't gotten any reps, plus no scout team reps, what is he doing? Standing there holding a clipboard?
None of it makes sense, and that's exactly why it's so scandalous. The Browns are basically that one friend who swears every January they're gonna hit the gym, posts motivational quotes, then spends the rest of the year ordering fast food and skipping leg day. They hype you up with talk of greatness, but all they deliver is sore knees, broken promises, and a tidal wave of disappointment. And just when fans thought the curse might finally break, that maybe Cleveland could finally escape its brutal label as the NFL's ultimate quarterback graveyard, the ownership doubled down on stubbornness like it was some kind of championship strategy. Enter the Shedeur Sanders saga, the latest messy chapter in this never-ending quarterback disaster encyclopedia. Fans beg for excitement, beg for hope, and what did the Browns give them? Confusion, frustration, and drama so juicy it feels scripted. Dozens of failed QBs, endless jersey swaps, and highlight reels that look more like blooper tapes than pro football. It's embarrassing. Then came Shedeur, a young star quarterback dripping with charisma and social media buzz, carrying more hype than the entire Browns offense has generated in the last decade. Fans expected fireworks, cameras, and the red carpet treatment, but Jimmy Haslam and Kevin Stefanski acted like Shedeur was nothing more than a Wi-Fi password they scribbled on a napkin and lost. Technically valuable, but way too easy to ignore.
little bit nasty. So they're like, look, man, viewerships are crashing. One guy broke it down to me on Reddit. He was like, look, bro, we're not saying the fans aren't loyal. The ticket sales are high, but during the coverage, if you look at the ratings, it's been going up and down, meaning that people were turning off their television. Even though it was a close game, 16 to 15 or whatever, people were not tuned in for one.
That's not just bad coaching, that's pure disrespect. And the fans, they've survived frozen nights in the stadium, endless draft day disasters, and heartbreaks so creative it feels scripted. All they're asking for is a little spark, a fresh start, something new to believe in. Cleveland fans aren't clueless. They know mediocrity when they see it, and they're sick of holding season tickets to disappointment. When Shadow's name started buzzing through the city, fans lit up like fireworks on the 4th of July. Finally, a shot at breaking free from this endless cycle of empty promises. Finally, something different. But just when the hype felt real, ownership slammed the brakes again. Spoiler alert, it's never different.
And I told you guys that was going to happen. Now, I don't know if some of these things are just slander on the Browns, but one thing for sure, we do know people's attention spans weren't there.
Now fans are convinced the front office is purposely stomping out the one spark of hope they've been holding on to. But why? Why would Kevin Stefanski, a man who calls plays like he's reading from a fragile IKEA instruction booklet, refuse to unleash Shadow? Because Stefanski is chained to his precious system. He'd rather go down in flames with his blueprint than swallow his pride and admit fresh talent could save this franchise.
He a coach now? He's standing on the sideline watching while Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel getting all the reps, and then Bailey Zappi going against the first team defense on scout team. Cleveland, if you were going to bury him on the depth chart, you might as well just put him on the practice squad or just released him. Trade him if you don't want him. But I'm telling you, I told y'all what they doing. I told y'all what Cleveland doing. Cleveland is trying to bury Shedeur on the depth chart so he won't play. Think about it. This man signed a 4-year contract. What can Cleveland do? They can control his career, playing career on the field, not off the field, on the field for the next 4 years.
Shadow is wild, electric, unpredictable, exactly the kind of playmaker Cleveland's been begging for. But instead of seeing him as a savior, Stefanski treats him like a threat to his rule book. And then we've got Jimmy Haslam, the so-called businessman running this team like he's choosing gas station coffee, safe, bland, and guaranteed to disappoint.
Okay, and if you'd have told me, let's see, we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur. Just like who's going to start or what play we're going to call is Kevin's call. But that's Andrew's call. He made the call.
He's not thinking football. He's thinking optics, headlines, sponsors, boardroom smiles. It's not strategy, it's corporate theater. He'd rather bury Shadow on the bench than risk shaking up his fragile illusion of stability. Meanwhile, the locker room is split down the middle. The veterans just want calm, no rookie shaking their carefully balanced mediocrity. But the younger guys, they feel the buzz, they see the hype, and they're wondering why the Browns refuse to light the fuse. It's a silent civil war, like a family dinner photo where everyone's smiling but secretly glaring daggers across the table. Nobody's saying it out loud, but everyone feels it. The Browns are terrified of their own potential. That's the real heartbreak. Fans keep daydreaming about what could have been, while every painful loss just proves ownership blew it yet again. Haslam has turned himself into the villain of his own saga, scripting failure on repeat. And the worst part, this isn't just about one quarterback. It's about refusing to change, refusing to evolve, refusing to give Cleveland what it's been begging for forever. Right now, the so-called strategy doesn't look like management. It looks like straight up self-sabotage. Somebody has to make the bold call, break the curse, and finally end this endless loop of mediocrity. But instead, leadership is recycling.
So you mean to tell me the Cleveland Browns listed Shedeur Sanders as inactive today? Inactive? Yo, look, man. At this point, hey, I'm a fan of Shedeur, I'm a fan of Dion, but we just need to stop caring. Because the more people actually trying to tune in to watch Shedeur, the more they ain't gonna play him, and the more they using him for clout and clickbait. They don't want the guy. The owner don't want him. The coach don't want him. The general manager don't want him. They don't want him on the team. Obviously, the NFL do not want Shiloh or Shedeur in the league, but Shedeur is good for money and ratings, or he wouldn't even be there.
The same tired script that's been haunting this franchise for decades. No wonder fans are boiling, because deep down, everyone knows this ending could be different. Shedeur Sanders could be the spark, the reset button, the game changer Cleveland has been praying for. Yet instead of unleashing him, the Browns let that golden opportunity rot on the bench while fans watch in disbelief.
Myles Garrett, you should have signed a new contract. You should have got out. Y'all won't win 5 games this year unless you put Shedeur Sanders in, and nobody's coming to the games. It was half full. That means it was half empty. No Shedeur, we ain't watching. Jim Haslam, I love it. You're furious. You're mad. You're pissed off. You're ticked off. There's nothing you can do because the people have spoken. Unless you put Shedeur Sanders in that game so he can win something for you, you won't get anybody coming to your games. Why? Because we don't like you, and we want to see Shedeur Sanders only.
For the next 4 years, it's not cheers echoing through the city, it's pure rage. And that anger has one clear target: Jimmy Haslam, the so-called gatekeeper holding the future hostage. Kevin Stefanski isn't sliding by either. His offense has all the energy of dial-up internet in 2025. Slow, clunky, and painful to sit through. And now he's blocking the one guy who might actually make Sundays worth watching. Stefanski acts like he's allergic to risk. Give him the choice between rolling the dice or folding before the game even starts, and he'll fold with pride, like he's showing off his caution. He's the type to walk into a 5-star steakhouse and shamelessly order chicken tenders. And when it comes to Shadow, he's not just folding, he's welding the whole table shut so nobody else even gets to play. Every week that passes without Shadow getting real reps, his legend only grows. He hasn't even thrown an NFL pass, but in the minds of Browns fans, he's already the savior, the chosen one, the golden ticket that could finally flip Cleveland's endless horror flick into at least a watchable rom-com.
Yo, look, I'm sick and tired of seeing how the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is treating Shedeur Sanders. This right here got me hotter than fish grease. This got me hotter than Texas on an August noon when it's 111 degrees. This right here is bull dookie. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to stay kid friendly. But this is crazy. Bro not even running practice squad. They say he not even practicing. He just there. Not even practice. We talk about practice.
But instead, Haslam and Stefanski are busy scripting what could go down as the NFL's greatest what-if saga in real time. And no city eats up conspiracy theories quite like Cleveland. Fans aren't just frustrated, they're writing their own wild lore about why this rookie is being hidden away like buried treasure. Behind closed doors, the locker room politics are just as messy. The veterans quietly side with Stefanski because they'd rather stick with predictable failure than risk total chaos. To them, it's safer to sink with a broken system than gamble their roster spots on a quarterback who might actually work. But the younger players, they're restless, buzzing with energy, begging for that adrenaline of a new leader charging forward. What Cleveland has now isn't unity, it's quiet resentment bubbling under the surface, ready to explode at any second. Nothing screams team chemistry like half the locker room rolling their eyes at the other half.
I really don't care about this game because they didn't have Shedeur out there. So realistically, I'm not watching the Browns until they put Shedeur in the game. I just looked at the stats, honestly, but when it comes to the Browns, if Shedeur is not playing, I'm not watching the Browns, and I'm gonna start the petition for real.
I was just about to say that. Are we protesting?
Yeah, I'm protesting.
I'm not mad at it.
And the irony, it's almost poetic. The Browns have spent decades begging for a quarterback to bring life back into this franchise, only to treat Shadow like a VHS tape in a Netflix world. Right now, Jimmy Haslam is casting his vote for the quiet fail, and Stefanski is co-signing the disaster with a smile. Meanwhile, fans are stuck watching the same miserable rerun of the same terrible show they've been forced to endure for years. Let's be real. The Browns aren't cursed by fate, they're cursed by their own stubbornness. This team keeps tripping over its own feet, almost like they want to stay stuck in the mud. And here's the kicker. The longer Shadow stays glued to that bench, the bigger this backlash is about to blow. Fans aren't patient anymore. They've been promised too much, lied to too often, and burned way too many times to just sit quietly. This isn't frustration anymore. It's a full-on mutiny, brewing in slow motion. And when a fan base turns on ownership, that bond is shattered for good. Meanwhile, Jimmy Haslam lounges in the owner's box like a king, pretending he's in control, but the truth is slipping right through his fingers. The Browns are on the verge of losing the one thing they can't afford to lose, the loyalty of their fans, and all because they've decided that letting Shedeur Sanders play is somehow scarier than sticking with the same washed-out failures we've all seen before. At this point, you gotta wonder, is this just pure incompetence, or are the Browns secretly running some twisted experiment to see how much pain one city can take before the fans finally snap and storm the field? Maybe Jimmy Haslam really wakes up every morning asking himself, how do I crush hope today? Then he looks down at Shedeur sitting stiff on the bench, carved from pure wasted potential, and nods like, mission accomplished. The craziest part? The solution is so obvious it's insulting. Fans aren't even demanding a Super Bowl parade. They're not even demanding double-digit wins. All they're asking for is honesty and effort. But every time Kevin Stefanski ducks questions at a press conference, it feels like a slap in Cleveland's face. And every bland corporate excuse out of Haslam's mouth is like gasoline on an already raging fire. The Browns aren't just mishandling a quarterback, they're mishandling the soul of the franchise. And that kind of betrayal doesn't heal overnight. What makes this circus even worse is the blind refusal to see the bigger picture. Shedeur isn't just another rookie, he's a movement. He's cultural buzz, crossover appeal, the kind of spotlight that could drag Cleveland into relevance way beyond the AFC North. But Haslam's too busy micromanaging, and Stefanski's too obsessed with protecting his fragile system. Together, they're fumbling the marketing opportunity of the decade. Now, the Shedeur Sanders story isn't just about football, it's about a franchise tearing itself apart, ownership versus fans, tradition versus change, fear versus hope. And here's the brutal truth. While Haslam and Stefanski think they're shielding the team, all they're really doing is strangling it to death. No one in that front office wants to admit it, but the Browns don't keep losing because of talent. They keep losing because of mindset. Cleveland is boiling over, and the tension feels ready to snap any second. Fans aren't just angry anymore, they're done being played. And when a city this loyal finally turns hostile, it's dangerous. You can feel it in the stadium, in the bars, and all over social media. This isn't just football frustration, it's a movement. And with every snap Shedeur Sanders doesn't take, fans have one more reason to scream louder. They're tired of reruns, tired of excuses, tired of leadership that treats hope like a threat instead of a lifeline. Cleveland fans aren't just asking for change anymore, they're demanding it. And those demands are starting to look less like polite requests and more like a full-blown rebellion. The city is split in two camps, the diehards still clinging to Haslam and Stefanski's safe system, and the growing wave of believers who see Shedeur as the only way forward. That divide is tearing the fan base apart. Arguments are breaking out at tailgates, sports radio is melting down daily, and chants inside the stadium are calling out ownership by name. This isn't restlessness, it's a city teetering on the edge of mutiny. And if Haslam and Stefanski keep plugging their ears to the roar of the crowd, they might face something scarier than another losing season, an all-out fan revolt. The warning signs are blaring like sirens. This isn't just grumbling from the cheap seats anymore. Season ticket holders are threatening to walk away. Whispers of boycotts are spreading across the city, and the chants are growing louder week after week. What began as frustration is mutating into open rebellion. Picture it. Thousands of fans showing up not in brown and orange, but in protest gear, waving signs that scream, "Play Shedeur or we're done." Imagine the cameras catching a mid-game walkout. Entire rows of seats left empty in a stadium that once shook with loyalty. That kind of scene doesn't just rattle a coach, it shakes the entire league. Cleveland is out of patience, and Haslam and Stefanski are out of excuses. Fans know they've been lied to before, but this time feels different. This time feels personal. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback anymore, he's a symbol, a living reminder of what the Browns could be if leadership stopped playing scared. And the longer this standoff drags on, the uglier it's going to get. The Browns aren't just risking another wasted season, they're risking the one thing more powerful than any playbook, the trust and loyalty of their city. Once that trust is gone, it's gone forever. No coach, no owner, no empty promises will ever bring it back. Right now, Cleveland feels less like a football city and more like a battlefield. On one side, Jimmy Haslam and Kevin Stefanski digging in their heels, clutching to a broken system like it's their last breath. On the other side, the fans furious, united, louder than ever, ready to turn every single Sunday into a protest march. And here's where it gets wild. The tension isn't just in the stands anymore, it's creeping into the locker room. Younger players are whispering, asking out loud why the franchise keeps Shadow shackled to the bench. Veterans are getting side-eyed for backing Stefanski, and suddenly the team feels split, like a family feud spilling into the streets for the whole world to see. This isn't just football anymore, it's a civil war brewing inside the Browns organization. Ownership versus fans, coaches versus players, old guard versus new blood. And every single week that Shedeur Sanders sits on that bench, the flames get higher, the lines are drawn deeper, and the anger is hotter than ever. What happens when the fans who pay the bills, the players who sweat on the field, and the city that bleeds brown and orange are all pushing one way, while ownership keeps slamming the door shut? That's not just bad management, that's chaos waiting to swallow the whole franchise alive. The Browns lose because they'd rather play it safe than chase glory. They lose because every time they stand at a crossroads, they pick the road that circles right back to heartbreak. And now fans aren't just hoping Shedeur Sanders can shine, they're expecting him to work miracles. They want him to walk on water, part Lake Erie, and bring home a Lombardi trophy with redemption on the side. And here's the plot twist. If Shedeur doesn't pull it off, the blame won't land on him. No, it'll come crashing down on Jimmy Haslam and Kevin Stefanski for dragging this circus out for so long, because in Cleveland, disaster doesn't just happen, it's engineered. And if there's somehow a third, even worse option, the Browns will always find it. They always do, turning opportunity into disaster and talent into trivia. So now I gotta ask, what do you think? Should Shedeur already be on that field proving everyone wrong? Or is Jimmy Haslam already ruining this team's future before it even begins? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know Cleveland fans have plenty to say about this one. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and share this with every Browns fan you know. Trust me, we've only scratched the surface of this madness, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.